Welcome back everyone. Hi, if you're new, I'm Tori, and today we are going to be keeping with tradition and I'm going to be blind reacting to another year of the Goodreads Choice Awards nominees in the fantasy and sci-fi category. So unlike previous years, this is truly the first time where I just genuinely don't know what to expect. I have my shoe-in predictions in fantasy and sci-fi, and surprisingly I have a couple in romantasy this year since that's a new category that started last year. But in terms of the other nominees in these categories, this is the first time in a while where I'm going in feeling like this is a free-for-all. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen. When it comes to the sci-fi category, I've joked before that I usually only know like 5 of the books that are nominated, and then the rest are like completely unfamiliar to me, or books that I feel like could have gone in other categories but they didn't know what to do with them, so they dumped them in sci-fi. That's typically how sci-fi goes. So let's get into some of these predictions. In fantasy, my 2 shoe-in predictions, I am 500% sure we're gonna see these. The first one is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This came out earlier in the year. I thought it was fine, didn't love it, didn't hate it, but Leigh Bardugo, she's so popular, and whenever she comes out with a release, that book is typically on the Goodreads nominees at the end of the year. So The Familiar would definitely be there. And then another one that I'm confident that we're gonna see is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. This book came out at the beginning of the year, and I'm still, at this point, still seeing people just loving it, hyping it up, praising it. So I definitely think we're gonna see The Tainted Cup. And Robert Jackson Bennett, his popularity definitely has been growing in the fantasy community in the last few years or so. So this one I think is a shoe-in for being nominated. I personally have not read The Tainted Cup yet. It is sitting on my shelf, and I had planned to get to it, but I read the second book in the Founders trilogy earlier this year, and I was so outdone. I was like, maybe I'm not that eager to continue on with Robert Jackson Bennett's work, but I do plan to get to it sometime in the new year. So those are my 2 shoe-in predictions. And then for all of the maybes that I have here, I think we could see The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. I think that would be really cool to pop up on the list. Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. I think that has a really good chance of being on the list too. Nivola by Paolo Bacigalupi, also really strong chance of being on the list. And then another maybe that I have here is When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. I'm putting this one in maybe because I feel like I don't typically see novellas nominated all that often in the Goodreads Choice Awards, but I read this, really enjoyed it. It was actually one of my biggest surprises for 2024, so I had a really good time with When Among Crows. And then another maybe that I think we could see is The Silver Blood Promise by James Logan. This one came out earlier in the year as well. I had a fun time with this one. It wasn't amazing or anything, but it was fun. It was very adventurous. I'll definitely be reading the sequel. So this one I think has a good chance. It's debut release, so we'll see. Another one that could be on the list is The Daughter's War by Christopher Buehlman. This one was everywhere when it released and just got so much hype, so much praise. I feel like people loved that one more than they loved The Black Tongue Thief. So this one has a high chance of being on the list. And then the last 2 in the maybe category for fantasy that I have is The Dead Cattail Assassins by P. Djeli Clark. I really love this one, but again, not sure if it'll be on here because I don't typically see novellas that often. And then the last one is The Book of Elsewhere by Keanu Reeves and China Miéville. Like, those are just 2 really big names, so huge chance that they could be on the list. And then I have a few books that I just put firmly in the no category as not being on this list at all. So the first one that I have here is The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. The first 2 books in this trilogy weren't nominated, so I will fall out of my chair if The Trials of Empire is on this list. I highly doubt it. Stranger things have happened, but this is going firmly in the no category. The other one that I have here as a no is The Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. I don't believe any of the other books in the Bloodsworn saga have been on this list. And it's unfortunate, but I don't usually see like a ton of high epic genre fantasy on the Goodreads Choice Awards list, so that's one big reason why I feel like this is not going to be on here. And then Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. This came out at the very beginning of the year, and this is another one where the first book wasn't on the list, so this one's not going to be on the list either. And then the last one that I put in my no category in fantasy is The Failures by Benjamin Lyer. So those are all of my fantasy predictions. Let's get into sci-fi. So in the sci-fi category, I have 2 shoe-in predictions. The first one, without a shadow of a doubt, hands down, we are going to see The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey nominated. I read this book, didn't really enjoy it, but I think for me at least, I would classify this as the biggest sci-fi release of 2024. So, and then James S.A. Corey, at this point, they're extremely popular in the sci-fi fantasy community, so The Mercy of Gods is going to be on this list. And then another book that I think is a shoe-in prediction is The Stardust Grail by Yume Katase. Her debut novel, The Deep Sky, made it to the list last year. So yeah, there is a very, very high chance that this one will also be on the list. And then for my maybes in sci-fi, again, this is the category where I always know like 4 to 5 books and then the rest are like, what is going on? But I would love to see Road to Ruin on the list by Hannah Lee. This one came out at the beginning of the year. It's still on my TBR, so I definitely want to get to this one. And then another one in the maybe category is Exodus by Peter F. Hamilton. And the publisher actually sent me a finished copy of this book, so that's why I know about it. So those are my shoe-ins and my maybes, and I have 2 in the no category. The first one in my no category is On Vicious Worlds by Bethany Jacobs. This is the second book in the Kingdom trilogy, and it was so good, you guys, but the first one wasn't nominated. I am not going to hold my breath for this one. We're going to talk about On Vicious Worlds in an update video coming later this week, but really loved On Vicious Worlds. The other one that I have in my no category is The Bound Worlds by Megan E. O'Keefe, and this is the third and final book in the Devour Worlds trilogy. The second one wasn't nominated last year, so again, not holding my breath. And then last but not least, I have predictions in the Romantasy category, which is really shocking because I don't read Romantasy, but I think that just goes to show how like big this subgenre has been in the last couple of years. It's really exploded. I see Romantasy books everywhere. Like bookstores I go into have their little Romantasy tables, Romantasy sections, as seen on TikTok section. And I use TikTok really often, but I have such a well curated For You page, algorithm, all of that. And somehow I always still get that like one big Romantasy book that is just constantly landing on my For You page. So because of that, I do have some predictions. So I'm confident that we're gonna see 4 books in Romantasy. When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, that was everywhere. I think it'll be on this list. The other one I think we'll see is Quicksilver, and the author is escaping me right now, but this is the one that just keeps breaking through my TikTok algorithm. Like I'll just be minding my business, I'll be scrolling, and somebody will pop up on my For You page screaming about Quicksilver. I see this everywhere all over TikTok. I have seen this in bookstores. This one has gotten a lot of attention, so I definitely think we'll see it. Another one that I think we'll see, and I've seen this one circulating on YouTube, and that is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. So this author, I feel like she was popular even before A Fate Inked in Blood and this new series that she has, but this book has definitely has amped it up even more. And then finally, my last shoe-in prediction for Romantasy is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This one came out at the beginning of the year. It's the 3rd book in the Crescent City series. Sarah J. Maas is always on the list. It doesn't matter what the list is. Someone's gonna put her there. I cannot wait to see what has been nominated. I mean, either way, you guys, this is just always so fun to film every year, to get reactions from you guys in the comments. I have a good time with this. So regardless of what's on here or what's not, this is just, it's fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know down in the comments your reactions to these different lists and your predictions on what you expected and what you're happy to see, all of that. I love having these discussions with you guys every year. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, you guys, let's do this. Let's see what's going on this 2024 Goodreads Choice Awards list. I'm just curious at this point. I'm really just curious to see what's happening here. I love doing this every year though with you guys. It's fun. I think this is my 4th year doing the reaction video, and I just have a good time doing it with you guys. So we're going in. I can't believe we're here again. I remember last year, like I vividly remember sitting in here, opening up the 2023 list. It's just weird how quickly time goes by. So let's see what's going on. Wow, that's a lot of people who've already voted. So already on the side here, I'm seeing that we've got our shoe-in prediction in Sci-Fi for the Stardust Grail by Yume Katase. Very excited to see that. But again, that wasn't really unexpected because her debut novel made it to the list last year. So I just expected to see this one, but it's nice to have that confirmed. And I really enjoyed the Stardust Grail. I will say I like the story more than I did for the Deep Sky, but I like the Deep Sky's characters more than the Stardust Grail. But overall, I enjoy Stardust Grail more than the Deep Sky. So happy to see that here. And then I already see another shoe-in prediction here for When the Moon Hatched in Romantasy. And even though it says nominees on your shelf, I haven't read that one. It's just on my owned and unread shelf, but that's why that's there. So yeah, we're already off to a strong start here with our shoe-ins. And let's see, the winners are going to be announced for the award on December 5th. So we still got some time. Okay, so first let's go into the fantasy category. Already I'm seeing, I'm seeing something that's catching my eye for fantasy. So let's get in here and see what's going on. We got another shoe-in prediction with The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I think that one was just, I don't know, that one to me was pretty obvious. Robert Jackson Bennett, like I mentioned, he's just really been getting a lot of attention lately. His books at least have been getting a lot of attention in the fantasy community. People really love the Founders trilogy. I've also been seeing a lot of love for his first series that starts with City of Stairs, and then now with The Tainted Cup coming out earlier this year. This one has just been getting its rounds, getting a lot of praise and some hype. So that one wasn't unexpected, but I'm excited to see this here. And then An Academy for Liars, I think that is unexpected. I would have thought that that would have gone in the horror category. So it wasn't even on my mind for fantasy, but love seeing that here. I think Alexis Henderson is such a great author. The Bright Sword is here from Lev Grossman. This is the author of the Magician series, and I don't really like that series. I do like the TV show. I want to say this book is a retelling of like Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, so not something that really sticks out to me. I liked it in Legendborn, but just not something that really sticks out to me. So I don't really see myself getting to this one, but who knows, it may creep up the TBR. Finally, on this first row, we have The Blackbird Oracle by Deborah Harkness. I actually have a copy of this one that was sent to me from the publisher, so thank you to them. And this is the 5th book in the All Souls series. So this is interesting to see here. I mean, I have my copy, but I have not seen really anybody, talking about this book, so, but here we are. Let's move down to this second row here. The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. I'm not familiar with that. 5 Broken Blades. I have seen this going around on TikTok, but from the little things that I've heard about it, I just assumed that this was a romantasy novel. It's the season for treason. That's hilarious. My interest is not really there, but who knows what'll happen. And then here we've got a TJ Klune. I didn't even realize TJ Klune had a new release out, but we've got Somewhere Beyond the Sea. TJ Klune, he's been all over these lists ever since the Cerulean Sea came out. And then finally on the second row, we've got The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. I have seen this one going around this year, but this is another one that just hasn't really interested me. So let's move on down here. The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. I feel like I've seen more hype for, I can't even think of the name of it, but I've seen more hype for Meg Schaefer's other book that came out last year than I have seen for this one. The Lost Story, but another one that I have really no interest in reading. And then here we have Voyage of the Damned. This is by Frances White. I'm unfamiliar with that one. I haven't heard of it. A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher made the list. I feel like such a Debbie Downer in this video, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be like more positive, but none of this is really catching my attention right now. I read Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher a couple of years ago, and I didn't love it. Ever since then, I was like, I'm not really in the mood for any more T. Kingfisher at this point. Maybe in the future, who knows, but yeah. I've seen A Sorceress Comes to Call going around, but it's another one that just hasn't really interested me. And then now we have, to round out this second row here, we've got The Night Ends with Fire. And I have seen this one going around, but haven't really heard, praise or negative reviews. Haven't really heard much either way. Let's go to the third row, see what's happening. Oh, The Dead Cattail Assassins made the list by P. Djeli Clark. I am really excited to see this here. Oh, that's awesome. So this is great. I was so unsure about this. This was more of a recent read for me, and I love this. It's definitely a bit of a departure from things that he's done in the past, like Ring Shout, or if you're familiar with his work in the Dead Gen universe. This one definitely has more of like a humorous tone to it. It was just a lot of fun to read. It takes place over the course of one night, and there are some moments of real horror in here. I just really had a great time with this one, so I love that this made the list. This is really great to see, so that just made my whole day seeing this on the list. So I love that. Love that for P. Djeli Clark. And then next to it, we've got The Foxwife. I'm not familiar with that one. Next to that, we've got A Song to Drown Rivers. And I have seen a couple of people reading this over on TikTok, but this is another one that not really interested in, but it sounds interesting, but just hasn't really found its way onto my TBR just yet. And then the last one here to round out this row, we have A Sweet Sting of Salt by Rose Sutherland. And this is another one that I just have not heard of, but the cover looks really interesting, so we may have to check that out. Once young woman uncovers dark secret about her neighbor. And then moving on down here. Oh my God. They actually put Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff on here. That is really surprising to see. Oh my God. This is the second book in the Empire of the Vampire series. I'm currently reading this one, making my way through it very slowly, but I was not anticipating this at all. The first one didn't make the list. And I think just overall from what tends to get nominated for the fantasy category for the Goodreads Choice Awards, this was just nowhere. You know, I was hopeful, but just nowhere on my radar. I was like, no, there's no way they're gonna nominate that. That is really exciting to see. So I've been loving making my way through this so far, and I would say I like this just as much as the first one, but we'll see by the end of it if I love it a little bit more. Then next to it, we've got another really exciting one here, and that is When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. And again, this one was a huge maybe for me because I just wasn't sure if it was going to be here because it was a novella. I read this book in January and I'm still thinking about it. I really had a great time with When Among Crows. I've been mentioning this over the course of the year so far, just how much this really stuck with me and just how much I've been enjoying Veronica Roth's adult fantasy work. So one of my biggest surprises of 2024, I will definitely be reading more of Roth's upcoming fantasy whenever that releases, but I really loved When Among Crows, so really happy to see this here. And then Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. Yeah, this is the sequel to Emily Wilde, which I believe was nominated last year, so I think this sequel should have been somewhere in my predictions, but just missed that one. Emily Wilde's was going around so much last year. Everybody was loving it, but it's just not really one that really spoke to me, really stuck out to me. I am glad that, you know, so many people have been having a good time with it, but overall, just not something that I really see myself picking up. And then last but not least, we've got our shoe-in prediction of The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. I thought this one was also pretty obvious that it was going to be here. Leigh Bardugo, whenever she releases something, her books typically make the Goodreads nominees list. I feel like The Familiar was disappointing for me because I just wanted a little bit more from it. I just left that book feeling like, okay, it was just all fine. Like nothing was amazing, nothing was terrible. I finished it and I was like, yes, that was a book. And that's my whole feeling about The Familiar. Like not really a standout, but not anything terrible. So yeah, so here we have it, you guys. This is the list for the 2024 fantasy nominees. But you know, aside from the ones that I have on my TBR, the one that I'm currently reading right now, the one that I already have read, nothing here is really speaking to me. Like, yeah, I don't know. Warm Hands of Ghosts. Like I've said, I've seen this going around and it does not sound that appealing. Book of Doors, I haven't even heard of that. Lost Story, I have no interest. Voyage of the Damned, I can honestly tell by the cover that that's probably not gonna be up my alley. And then the other ones, yeah, The Map of the Otherlands, I'm probably not gonna read Emily Wilde. So I mean, yeah, there's some solid picks here, and then some of the other ones I just find to be a little boring sounding, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too harsh. Anyways, let's move on to science fiction and see what is happening in the sci-fi category. So, okay. It starts early already. I have no idea what is going on in this category. I can pick out Service Model. This is Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is actually on my TBR. I have this on my Kindle. You know, definitely gonna get to that. Not this year. It's gonna be sometime in 2025. But yeah, already I'm just like, what is happening here? Sky Full of Elephants, In Ascension, the Black Box. What is this? This Black Box of Doom. I'm starting to worry about this Black Box. What? Let's just scroll. Haven't heard of those. Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey. That was a shoe-in prediction. That one I think was just also pretty easy to predict. I mentioned in the intro, this is for me the biggest sci-fi book to get some buzz this year. So that was just fully expected to make the list. Yeah, not a big shock. I wasn't personally a fan of it, but it's not surprising that it's here. And then we've got other ones that I have not heard of. The Blueprint. Okay. Red Side Story. I have read this author, Jasper Ford, and actually I'm forgetting the book that I read. Is it Shades of Grey? It might be Shades of Grey. Yes. Oh, this is the second book in the Shades of Grey. I didn't even know that was... Okay. Anyways, let's just move on. And then we have Douglas Preston's Extinction. The name is bigger than the title. Okay. Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer. This is the... Oh, I've been seeing this. Wait, is this the new book? Hold on. Sorry. Detour. This is the new book in the Southern Reach trilogies. The surprise 4th volume. Okay. Now this is inspiring me to actually go back and continue on with the Southern Reach series. That is really exciting to see. Okay. And then here we've got some other ones. The Other Valley. I am not familiar with that one. And Beautyland, I am also not familiar with this one. I have seen the Ministry of Time going around, but the things that I've heard about it do not interest me. And then moving down here, we've got I Cheerfully Refuse. Haven't heard of it. Yours for the Taking. Also have not heard of that either. Next to that, we've got a John Mars book. I don't know why Goodreads is so hell-bent on putting John Mars in the sci-fi category. John Mars, I will just be on this hill by myself. John Mars belongs in thriller. For me, his books are thrillers that have sci-fi elements and themes to them. I would say Blake Crouch is a great example of an author who like genuinely blends science fiction and thriller, and I would classify his books as sci-fi first and strong thriller elements. But John Mars, I would say it's like thriller leaning first and then the sci-fi elements come in. But if Goodreads likes it, I love it. They're always putting this man in sci-fi. Always. It never fails. And then next to that, again, we saw this on the first page. We've got The Stardust Girl by Yume Katase. I'm really excited to see this here. I've said this before. I think Yume Katase is such a great new voice in sci-fi. I'm excited to see the books that she keeps coming out with. Really enjoyed The Deep Sky. Really enjoyed this second novel from her. Definitely can't wait to see what else she does. Excited to see this one here. And then moving on down again, this looks like the last row. Yeah, it is. Moving on down, we've got Baby X. Have not heard of it. Orbital by Samantha Harvey. I have heard of this. And then we've got Antibot here. Oh, Cooper has come to join the party. We've got Antibot here, and I'm not familiar with that one. Okay, excuse me, can I finish? And then last but not least here, you guys, we've got Moon of the Turning Leaves. So, yeah. I have no comment. This is what we're working with, and every year, I'm telling you, next year, I'm not gonna know any on the list. It gets smaller and smaller every single year. So, you know, we're gonna go ahead and vote for The Stardust Grill. Did I vote in fantasy? Hold on, we need to go back to fantasy. Gonna vote for The Dead Cattail Assassins. I'm done with sci-fi for the Goodreads Choice Awards. Every year, I think last year was the first year where I was like, this is pretty bad. And now this year, it's just, what is going on? Vicious Worlds came out. What did I mention in the predictions? Road to Ruin came out. We've got a new Peter of Hamilton that came out. The Bound Worlds by Megan E. O'Keefe came out. The third book in J.S. Dew's series came out. There's so much sci-fi. And we get like this. I mean, this is sci-fi too. I'm not knocking these books. That's not my intention at all. I do think these like are very, I don't know. I think last year the issue I had was they were all just so like climate focused and like literary climate fiction and literary dystopians and all of that. We're definitely getting away from like genre sci-fi and genre fantasy. I think that is probably my, not my issue. That's like too strong of a word. It's not my issue, but that's just what I'm noticing, that they don't care about the genres. So let's check out Romantasy and see if our predictions are in here. And yeah, 2 of them already. When the Moon Hatched and Callie Hart. That's the author, Callie Hart of Quicksilver. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that these 2 would be on here. Quicksilver has just really caught fire. Like, yeah, over 100,000 ratings for this book. people are loving this book, and then you've got other people who are reading it and just like totally trashing it. But no matter which way you spin it, this book has definitely been getting some big attention in 2024. When the Moon Hatched, I saw this going around, like I mentioned, so much at the beginning of this year. Spell Shop, yeah, I've seen that going around. Honey Witch, have not seen that one. So moving down, we've got A Crown That's Cold and Heavy. Not familiar with that one. We've got Phantasma here. I'm familiar with this one because I've seen it on tables in bookstores. No interest there. A Dark and Drowning Tide, not familiar. Born of Blood and Ash by Armin Trout. This series is so long. Flesh and Fire, goodness. Wait, I thought the series was longer than that. What is this? Anyways, Flesh and Fire. Is this a different, oh, it's a spin, oh, this is too much. So Blood and Ash, this is like the one that starts with, okay, this is what I have seen, like from Blood and Ash, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. This is too much. It is too much, and that is a really creepy advertisement. Okay, we're gonna move down. A Touch of Chaos, I'm not familiar. Jeez, does this say God? What is this? Gold. The Plated Prisoner 5. Fatebound is here by Sarah El-Arifi. I didn't realize that was Romantasy, but here we are. A Fate Inked in Blood, we've got one of our predictions. This is another one that I've just really seen going around, especially I've seen more, I think, YouTube videos on this than I have TikToks. But yeah, Danielle L. Jensen, she was already kind of popular, but I think with this particular series, I've just seen more and more of her books. So got one of the predictions. House of Flame and Shadow is here. Absolutely no one is surprised to see this here. Will it win? That'll be interesting because these two up here, Quicksilver, When the Moon Hatched, those have just been gaining some crazy momentum, so we'll see. And then next to it, we've got Apprentice to the Villain. I feel like this is a sequel because yes, Assistant to the Villain is the first one. I've seen that one going around. And then we've got Fate of the Sun King, The Veiled Kingdom, Blood of Hercules, this Zodiac Academy series that seems to never ever want to end, Restless Stars, A Promise of Peridot, and finally The Games Gods Play. Jeez. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I think Sarah J. Maas still has so much popularity on her side. She still has such a strong fan base. So I think it'll be really interesting to see the numbers when these all go head to head. I don't know why I feel like people have been talking about Quicksilver more than When the Moon Hatched though. And I think also with House of Flame and Shadow, what could hurt it a little bit is that this one came out almost like at the very beginning of the year. So beginning of the year, but these two up here have more momentum, but I think Sarah J. Maas has the stronger fan base. So we'll see what's gonna win out in the end. And then last but not least, I'm going to go into, just for fun, gonna go into YA fantasy and see what is going on in here. Defiant, of course, is the fourth Skyward book by Sanderson. I haven't even gotten to the third one yet. I have read Skyward and Starsight. So going forward, I do plan to read Cytonic, not anytime soon, but still making my way through that series. And then we've got some other ones here that I'm not familiar with. Poisons We Drink, Heartless. I've seen Heartless Hunter. I feel like I've seen that one going around on TikTok, but I haven't seen this Where the Dark Stands Still, Of Jade and Dragons. Haven't seen that one. For the Rat. I've seen Immortal Dark. That one has really been getting a lot of attention. I think I want to add this to my TBR. I've seen a lot of good things about Immortal Dark. And then we've got Air by Sabatier. I've seen that one. This row right here, this is all, no, that's all beyond me. And then this next row here, this is another row that is beyond me. And then finally this last row, we've got, oh, Ruthless Vows. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals. Yeah, Divine Rivals was book one. This Where the Library Hides, not familiar. Prisoner, I mean, I know Holly Black's name, but I don't know what that is. And then this Reckless, this author, she's also been everywhere. This is the Powerless book. So, okay. Which is Shouldn't that be Romantasy? From what I've seen of the Powerless, I feel like that's a Romantasy series. Anyway, what do I know? Forget it. Let me go back into Sci-Fi, you guys. Yeah, every year this Sci-Fi list just gets so... I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm just here. I don't know what's happening anymore. And then the fantasy list I feel like is always interesting because like I've heard of the books, at least for the most part I've heard of the books, but even the ones I've heard of don't really interest me. They don't really excite me. I don't know. I've never really been into TJ Klune, and you know, I don't really see myself reading any more T. Kingfisher anytime soon. And then some of the ones I haven't heard of, like this Voyage of the Damned, I don't know. And I don't say this to knock the nominees or anything, nothing like that at all. Like, congratulations to all of them. Really exciting stuff to be nominated. Yeah, I mean, just kind of looking at them all together, I just feel very underwhelmed. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment sections. But yeah, that's just kind of my initial like gut reaction. Just very, very underwhelmed. I'm really happy though for the Dead Cattail Assassins and to see P. Djeli Clark on the list. I do think though over the years we've definitely moved away from, you know, kind of all the big epic high fantasy. Yeah, the Sci-Fi list. Okay, well, I've seen what I needed to see. So that is it from you guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Please let me know down in the comments your thoughts on this list. Let me know what you were excited to see, what you were disappointed didn't make it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. But until then, take care.